Hello, I'm going to read the first few pages from Word to Death, and this is a second one in the series for the First Lady Mystery Series, or the White House Dollhouse Store, and it has to do with an impersonator, a Mary Lincoln impersonator, who of course gets murdered. I expected Blanche at any moment, the Mary Lincoln impersonator from the Mary Todd Lincoln House in Lexington, Kentucky. Blanche needed a place to dress for the afternoon engagement at Inga's Antique Store, located at the end of the same block as my own shop. I own the White House Dollhouse Store in downtown Minneapolis, so it seemed fitting that she should dress here. Blanche's grand entrance for the tea party and diary reading would delight the audience. Putting on my own period dress had taken all morning. The crinoline and hoop made me almost nuts from all the pulling, straightening, and latching. Fortunately, Inga had loaned me a shoe hook, which worked nicely. The skirts swept across the floor as I walked around the showroom, circling my dollhouses carefully. I'm busy this afternoon, ladies, but Grandma will tend to things, I told the miniature dolls. Dolly Madison was my favorite, not only because of being distantly related, but because she had so much personality and character. But glancing at the nearest modern-day White House, I commanded, "Laura, stand straighter." I picked up First Lady Laura and set her closer to President Bush. Much better. The overhead doorbell rang, and a short woman the size of Mary Lincoln walked in, toting a very large hat box. "Hi, you must be Blanche. I'm Liv, and let me help you. I'll get Max to carry in your remaining boxes." So now I'll go ahead a little bit and get her in, and Max, the employee, is moving her car, and then she gets ready to go down to get a cup of coffee before, or to see that there's her briefcase and the benches, and there's a carving of Eleanor Roosevelt's head. And anyways, I'm looking forward to the afternoon. I made a slight curtsy. It wasn't long before Max had the remaining boxes stacked in the corner. See, she had all these shoe boxes, or hat boxes, I should say. "I'm going upstairs, but it won't be gone long," Max said. He handed Blanche the car keys. "Changing room? Oh, right across in here." I pointed to the restroom. "It's small. That's why you'll have to dress in this room. The back door is locked. You can leave your things here during the engagement. I'll be in the showroom if you need anything." "Okay, I'll get started." This short moment left me time to leave a note for Grandma. A. Dust of time. B. First Lady Wilson should be visible and out of the bedroom. C. First Lady Nixon needs a hair tune-up. D. Do you have time to A. Y or N? In other words, yes or no. B. Y or N. C. Y or N. I busied myself after that by reading through my latest emails until I heard Blanche call my name. I went to see how she was doing. I had to help her get the hoop skirt on. And then they continued on. I followed her across the hallway and stood outside the bathroom as she swirled her hair into a bun. "Ever heard of the lost speech?" Blanche asked. I shook my head, and she explained. "The lost speech of Abraham Lincoln has never been found. I received an email from a close historian who believes it's still within reach, like it's ripe for discovery." She pushed in a hairpin. "There's also a newly found letter of Mary Lincoln's at the Presidential Library. They, of course, notified the Mary Todd Lincoln House. I'm going online to search for the speech once I return home." "I've never heard of the lost speech," I cocked my head. The letter piqued my interest also. "I should show you the puzzle from her published diary. Mary Todd Lincoln's diary, that is. I brought a stack of copies and left them for sale at Inga's. The puzzle is made of letters arranged within circles, most unusual." "Do you have a picture of the puzzle?" "Yes, I'm excited to show someone." Blanche opened her laptop and brought out an image. Rings of letters circled smaller rings, and in turns were circled by yet larger. Wow, I said, this picture looks like the puzzles that Luke has at his coffee house. Brew Cafe, 2 doors down. Goodness, I should like to see them. Okay, so now we'll fast forward and anyways, so now later on we get where they're waiting for her to come down to Inga's coffee house, and she didn't show up. She did not show up. So later on then, after it was supposed to be happening, and all these other people were in the antique store for this tea party with Blanche, then it's all done, and now Liv was all dressed up in Victorian dress, so she's going back to see what happened. My full skirt swayed backwards against the powerful north wind. Silence blared from a distance, becoming louder, propelling me to hurry. I slipped, barely catching myself. My hoops worked to my advantage, and I easily pushed through the crowd. As soon as I saw the heavy, full skirt billowing from the wind, I knew who it was. Blanche, I shouted, kneeling down. Oh, dear God, did someone call an ambulance? It seemed as if her neck was at an odd angle. I took off my mittens and took her hands in mine to warm them. Blanche, speak to me. The crowd jostled me and made it hard to take care of her, plus my attire was in the way. Soon 2 police officers stood over me. Liv? Aaron, my husband, a police officer, was first on the scene. Thank God you're here. Let us take over, go to the store and stay. Aaron held out his hand and helped me to stand. Don't worry, an ambulance will soon be here. Okay, I nodded, turned and fled to my store. I quickly punched in the security code and entered. I made a beeline to the back room where I fumbled with the ties and tangled strings of my dress until at last I stepped out of it. I was thankful I hadn't tied anything into double knots, though in a hurry I took time to hang the dress properly. The dress had belonged to Mary Lincoln. I had purchased it recently when an assortment of dresses were on sale on an online auction. She wore it after she had served as First Lady, so the value was much lower than I'd expected. It seemed we were similar in height but not girth. She had to have weighed much more than me, otherwise I would never have been able to get into it. So I'm fast forwarding the end of the chapter, and the 2 detectives have come and gone, and now she goes to check out some of the things left behind by Blanche. Naturally, curiosity got the best of me. I felt drawn to Blanche's hat box. It was made of heavy cardboard was gray with age. Peering closer, I noted that dirty smudges abounded, but were smoothed over. Inside the first box, I found jagged handwriting, reminiscent of an elderly person's script. The written name was Mrs. Tyndall. The smeared ink was right beside a miniature drawing of a staircase, yet another thing to pique my interest. I grabbed for a blank sheet of paper from the printer on the counter and quickly made a sketch before replacing the lid. I slid the sheet inside of my cash drawer just as the police entered. The name of Mrs. Tyndall was familiar, but I couldn't place it. I pondered the question of who she was as the coffee brewed. So this is from the beginning chapter of Word to Death. Thank you.